Mick Fleetwood should be enjoying the golden years of a life filled with musical triumph and financial success. But the reality of how he's living now is heartbreaking. The man who helped create Rumors and survived the band's most turbulent periods has faced devastating personal losses that have left him isolated and struggling. From the tragic death of his closest friend to the destruction of his beloved Maui restaurant in the devastating wildfires, Mick's recent years have been marked by profound sadness and loss. What we've discovered about his current situation will shock longtime Fleetwood Mac fans and reveal the hidden pain behind one of rock's most enduring figures.
Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more untold Hollywood history content.
The most devastating blow to Mick Fleetwood's recent years came with the death of Christine McVie on November 30th, 2022. For Mick, this wasn't just the loss of a bandmate. It was the death of his closest friend, his musical soulmate, and the person who had been his constant companion through Fleetwood Mac's entire journey. Christine's death at age 79 from complications following a stroke hit Mick harder than any other loss in his life. The two had shared a unique bond that transcended their professional relationship. While other band members came and went, and romantic relationships within the group created chaos, Mick and Christine remained the stable core of Fleetwood Mac. In the aftermath of her death, Mick was the first to hear the news and was reportedly inconsolable. He had to be the one to inform the other band members and the public, a responsibility that weighed heavily on his already broken heart. The man who had always been the band's rock was suddenly adrift without his anchor. Mick's grief was compounded by the realization that Christine's death marked the end of an era. The classic lineup of Fleetwood Mac was now permanently broken, and the dreams of future reunions or collaborations were forever shattered. For someone who had dedicated his entire adult life to the band, this finality was devastating. The loss has left Mick questioning his own purpose and future. Without Christine, Fleetwood Mac feels incomplete to him, and he has struggled to find meaning in continuing without her presence. Friends close to Mick describe him as being in a state of prolonged mourning, unable to fully accept that his dearest friend is gone forever. As if losing Christine McVie wasn't devastating enough, Mick Fleetwood faced another crushing blow in August 2023 when the Maui wildfires destroyed his beloved restaurant, Fleetwood's on Front Street. This wasn't just a business loss. It was the destruction of his sanctuary and his connection to the community he had called home for decades. Fleetwood's on Front Street had been more than a restaurant to Mick. It was his passion project, his way of giving back to the Maui community, and his refuge from the pressures of rock stardom. He had poured his heart and soul into the establishment since opening it in 2012, often performing there himself and creating a gathering place for both locals and tourists. When the devastating fires swept through Lahaina, Mick was traveling and could only watch helplessly as news reports showed his restaurant being consumed by flames. In a heartbreaking statement, he said, "This is an inconceivable devastation. Fleetwood's on Front Street has been lost. And while we are heartbroken, our main priority is the safety of our dear staff and band members." The loss of the restaurant represented more than just financial devastation. It was the destruction of a decade's worth of memories, relationships, and community connections. Mick had built something meaningful in Lahaina, and watching it burn was like losing another piece of his identity. Despite his own overwhelming loss, Mick's first instinct was to help others. He organized the Malama Maui benefit concert to raise funds for fire victims, showing his characteristic generosity even in his darkest hour. However, friends report that the effort to help others while dealing with his own grief has taken a significant toll on his emotional and physical health. While many assume that decades of Fleetwood Mac success have left Mick financially secure, the reality is more complicated and troubling. His past financial mistakes and extravagant lifestyle have left him in a more precarious position than fans might expect, especially as he faces the costs of rebuilding after the Maui fires. Mick's financial troubles aren't new. They date back to his notorious 1984 bankruptcy, when his extravagant spending and poor investment decisions cost him everything. He famously spent money on lavish purchases without fully understanding their cost, once admitting he bought an entire farm without realizing it. His cocaine addiction during Fleetwood Mac's peak years also contributed to his financial ruin. In his own words about his financial disasters, Mick has said, I probably have the world record for the amount of money lost by a musician. This self-deprecating admission reveals the extent of his past financial mismanagement and its lasting impact on his current situation. While Mick has rebuilt his finances over the decades, he has never achieved the same level of wealth as some of his former bandmates. The destruction of his Maui restaurant, which represented a significant investment and source of income, has created new financial pressures at a time when he should be enjoying retirement. The contrast between Mick's financial situation and that of other Fleetwood Mac members is stark. While Stevie Nicks has an estimated net worth of around $120 million, Mick's wealth is significantly less, estimated at around $30 million. Could better financial decisions in his younger years have provided him with more security in his golden years? The question haunts him as he faces the costs of rebuilding his life after recent losses.
Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more untold Hollywood history content.
At 77, Mick Fleetwood is facing the reality of aging, and those close to him are increasingly concerned about his physical and mental health. The combination of grief, financial stress, and the isolation that comes with loss has taken a visible toll on the once vibrant drummer. Friends and family members have noticed significant changes in Mick's demeanor and energy levels since Christine's death and the Maui fires. The man who was once the life of the party, known for his towering presence and infectious enthusiasm, has become withdrawn and melancholic. He spends much of his time alone, struggling to find joy in activities that once brought him happiness. The physical demands of his age are also becoming apparent. Decades of drumming have taken their toll on his body, and he moves more slowly and carefully than in his younger years. The stress of recent losses has accelerated his aging process, with those close to him noting how much older he appears since Christine's death. Mick's isolation has been compounded by his location. While Maui was once his paradise, the destruction of Lahaina and his restaurant has made the island feel haunted by memories of what was lost. He struggles with whether to rebuild in the same location or start over somewhere else, a decision that feels overwhelming in his current emotional state. The lack of regular musical collaboration has also affected his mental health. Music has always been Mick's primary form of expression and therapy. But without Christine and with Fleetwood Mac's future uncertain, he has lost his most important creative outlet. This musical silence has left him feeling purposeless and disconnected from his identity as a performer.
Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more untold Hollywood history content.
As Mick Fleetwood approaches his 78th birthday, the future looks uncertain and often bleak. The man who once seemed indestructible, who survived every Fleetwood Mac crisis and personal setback, now faces challenges that feel insurmountable. The question of Fleetwood Mac's future weighs heavily on Mick's mind. With Christine gone and relationships with other band members complicated by decades of history, the prospect of meaningful musical collaboration seems remote. He has stated that continuing without Christine feels unthinkable, leaving him without the career that has defined his entire adult life. Rebuilding his Maui restaurant presents both an opportunity and a burden. While it could provide purpose and restore his connection to the community, the emotional and financial investment required feels daunting at his age. The decision of whether to rebuild represents a larger question about whether he has the energy to start over again. Mick's health concerns add another layer of uncertainty to his future. While he hasn't publicly disclosed any serious medical issues, those close to him worry about the impact of stress and grief on his well-being. The combination of advanced age and emotional trauma creates a fragile situation that requires careful management. Perhaps most sadly, Mick seems to have lost much of his natural optimism and resilience. The man who once bounced back from bankruptcy, addiction, and band breakups now struggles to see a path forward. Friends describe him as going through the motions of daily life without the spark that once made him such a compelling figure. What do you think about Mick Fleetwood's current situation? Do you believe he can overcome these challenges? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this look into Mick's struggles as moving as we did, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the world of music. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.